Hello, this is Mackenzie Moen. I'm from the Race, Ethnic, and Diversity class held by Quincy Daniels, and I'm going to talk about the critical thinking questions of Chapter 1. The first question is, how diverse is your city, and can you see the evidence that some group is being subordinated? I come from Caledonia, Minnesota, which is a city that is primarily all white people, and probably about maximum 20 black people with 3,000 people, and an extremely racist city. So most people, there's like a sign in Chicago to help domestically abused black women to come up to our women's shelter, which is talked about well. However, it's very poor, and the person that runs it's actually very racist, so it's disgusting. And hopefully no one knows. Hopefully nobody from Caledonia watches this. But I can see evidence. That is the evidence that I can see from groups being subordinated, because there's a definite minority. Barely any Hmongs or Spanish people come to La Crosse or come to Caledonia. Also, a minority group would be people who choose not to eat meat, or no, like vegetarians or vegans aren't even seen really in Caledonia. And if you don't hunt or kill animals very often, or even skip school to kill animals, you're extremely kind of shunned because they think it's weird and they don't understand it. As well as if you aren't a Christian, you are also alienated, because everyone is kind of is Christian. They're very religious. However, they don't really follow religious practices, so they're kind of crappy Christians. Not to be rude or anything, to be blatantly honest. And um, the social, as far as the social construction of categories that might be different in our community, I think that that in itself is the difference in how people shun people of other religions. For example, if there was like a more new aged girl, like a new age person with a lifestyle that believes in homeopathy or holistic practices or energy work, they would be extremely weird or like a freak almost. And the people who go and confess their sins about all of the drinking they did the night before and say they never do it again and then they do it the next day, that's sort of what people do here. And so if you don't drink a lot or eat no meat, then you're kind of weird. For the question of number 2, of in 2006, Nuestro Himno is an anthem of Francis Scott Key's the Star Spangled Banner, which is a sort of a translation from English, and there's a big controversy on that. And also, I read an article called "Bush Says Anthem Shouldn't Be Sung in Spanish." It's in the Washington Post and the Knight Ridder newspapers. And President Bush said that it should be banned or condemned by immigrant groups to stage a work or to create a translation into Spanish, because since this is the United States of America, everyone should speak English. I do not believe this should be the case, because we're supposed to be united and welcoming of all religions and all walks of life, all languages, all history, and a place where we should all be able to get together. But we don't do that, and the President of the United States saying that they should be condemned is highly disgusting. And there was a quote in here that I found kind of sick. Um, well, Nostro hymno means our hymn, and the politics of America kind of switched it up and twisted it around to mean it's the Spaniards' America, or anyone from Spain or South America. It's their America. That's not what they mean. They mean our, as in all united and together, and America being America. Discombobulated that. Um, and it relates to the spectrum of the intergroup as people sort of expelling it in a way. They didn't perform genocide or anything, but the Spanish people didn't form with them. They didn't fuse with the majority, and America didn't like that. They totally didn't like that, and they sort of created regulations saying you can't do that, and just kind of disregarded it. I don't think there's actually a law that says you can't, or that shunned them for doing so, but you I mean, America doesn't like that because everyone wants to be Americanized, even though none of us are actually American. We are, a lot of us are European. A lot of us are from all different backgrounds. So, for the last question is identify some protest or resistance efforts by subordinated groups in your area. One that comes to my mind is pro-abortion or pro-life. And as far as being successful, I think that it hasn't been successful. I think many people are, that I know anyway, which are kind of the new agey kind of group, and the activists they would say that they're pro-life because everyone should have a right to living, and life's a beautiful thing, and we shouldn't be killing things. However, I think it's totally important that women can do whatever they want to their body and whatever they want in their life because it's their life. So I think that this whole kind of protest is like a circle, and I think a lot of the religious aspects of it can be kind of dirty. I don't think that religions should be able to impose their religious rights on other people. So that's also very important. And the next question is, why are some people who say they favor equality uncomfortable with such efforts? I think that some people are really uncomfortable with this is because a religious group can be totally for equality. However, they will manipulate the rules to abide by their religion or what they've learned in their religion. So if a Christian wanted full equality, but they didn't believe in someone having sex before they're married, that would be an example in my eyes. The next question is, how can people unconnected with such efforts either help or hinder such protests? I don't really understand this question. I've been reading it quite a lot, but I think that sometimes people get caught up in the whole act of being in the protest. They don't even actually know the full story. They just kind of manipulate it and go with whoever sounds smart or whatever. But I think that it's important that we do protest and share our feelings about the topic. But I think that violence is not the answer, and a more anarcho-pacifist approach to things would be beneficial and realistic.